Hello, welcome to the Chirp YouTube channel. My name is Christy and I am your friendly online speech-language pathologist and specialist in children's communication development, which includes behavior, because behavior is one type of communication. Even though we don't think about it that way, behavior is an important skill. Appropriate behavior is an important skill that kids need to learn. It is not necessarily automatic that children behave the way we want them to behave. And I am remembering this in a brand new way. If you have been following my videos, you will know that I have been attending a church for some years now where I have been working on developing specialized programming for kids with developmental differences. This takes a while. I've done this 2 times before, and each time the initial process of working within children's ministry to create a separate environment for our kids who really need it took about 4 years. And this case was no different. Even though I went into this church knowing that they wanted this program, and I was there to help with this development, it still took a long time. And in the series that this video is part of, that's what we're discussing, why it takes a while and how we can prepare ourselves even before a second classroom is opened, even before the time when we can throw open the doors and say, we're happy to welcome children of all abilities. Now, however, my classroom at this particular church is open, a separate classroom for children who definitely were not thriving in our typical programming. And the children in this program are different from children that I have served in the past. In the first program that I founded and ran for 10 years, the children were mostly seriously affected by autism, mostly, but some other physical disabilities and some other developmental things like Down syndrome or other chromosomal difficulties, but basically things that affected them from birth. In the second program, things shifted slightly, and I had a lot more kids who maybe had diagnoses of some kind, but whose main issue was their behavior. They had challenging behavior. My littlest student at that time started with me because he was trying to strangle other children in his 2-year-old's class because he just didn't know how to manage his big emotions. In this program, I am having the experience, now this is 20 plus years after my initial program was founded, and I'm noticing that most of the students who are needing my help, our help as a program, their main issue is behavior. Some of them do have diagnoses of various kinds, but many of them do not. They simply are having very extreme behaviors that are not compatible with our children's programming. And this is a problem for many reasons. The first reason, of course, is because parents are surprised when their children are not doing okay in any particular environment. The second problem is, of course, because we can't say we have a separate classroom for kids with developmental differences, because families are not aware that their children have any differences yet at this point. That will become obvious as their children are identified in school. And then it becomes difficult to explain why we are pulling some kids aside. We don't want to say your child is distracting and dangerous to himself or others. That's not okay. We have various different ways to discuss this with families, and I will discuss that with you in an upcoming video. In this video, I just want to talk about the behavior aspect because this is hard to train volunteers on. I have been working in this field for 25 years, and I have seen a lot of behavior strategies, some of which work really well and some which don't, all of which take a tremendous amount of energy and time and focus. none of which are easy or magical. Nothing is a simple fix when it comes to challenging behavior. And that is the first thing that I would like to say in this video about behavior. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I have some lovely volunteers I'm working with for the first time. I happen to know the kids that I'm working with already because they've been part of my group for some time, and it is just recently that we have begun teaching them with a different curriculum and a different environment in a separate room. But my volunteers, the other volunteers in this group, don't know these children yet. And so I am trying to provide some guidance about what's acceptable and not acceptable to volunteers who are new to these children, who may also be new to special ed or to children's programming, or maybe to children at all. And I want to walk with you through some of the very initial things that I will be sharing with the rest of the volunteers, because I think that these are some of the most foundational behavior management strategies. And the first one is having class rules. I've talked about this a lot. It is one of the foundational steps of the pyramid model, which I have a whole series, lots of videos in that series about the pyramid model because it's very effective for managing challenging behavior. Again, it is not a magic thing. It is not a simple fix. It is a pyramid of building stone by stone systems that support children. When a child is supported in the areas where she needs to be supported, those challenging behaviors are more likely to dissipate because she's feeling supported. One of these strategies is to have very solid, very simple class rules. And I have printed some up for you. These visuals are from the curriculum that I wrote, the CHIRP curriculum. You can find more about that right there if you would want to. But my illustrations are done by G. Hay Watson. Thank you, G. Hay. And they are adorable. These are our class rules. Keep myself safe. Keep people safe. Keep things safe. Very simple. I printed up a bunch of these. I'm going to laminate a couple. I'm going to stick them all over in the classroom, probably in the area where we play and in the area where we have some couches that I wish were not in our classroom that sometimes students want to jump on. And I'm going to put some next to the table where we have our story time and our motor activities and communication activities. And we will be referring back to them a lot. I'm also going to laminate them in individual strips. So keep myself safe, keep people safe, keep things safe. And I'm going to put them in a little flip book, and we are going to carry them around with us. We have 2 children specifically that I'm thinking of who are very intense as far as their oppositional behaviors. They require almost constant redirection and monitoring, or they are brawling with another student, or they are unsafe in some way, or they are treating our toys, our equipment in a way that is not safe. Throwing it, breaking it just to see what happens, trying to attack other students with it. They're really hands-on. And we need to be right there with them all the time, making sure that they are going to make a better choice with our help. This is called scaffolding. I'm a 5'6" woman. Not that tall, but not hobbit short either. But I cannot reach the ceiling in our kitchen area because it is high. With a scaffold, however, I can reach the ceiling in there if I happen to want to paint it. This is how we need to think about children's behavior. There are certain things they cannot do on their own that they can do when they have appropriate support. And those are the skills that are in their zone of proximal development, the skills that they can do if they have support. Then there are skills above that they can't do even if they do have support. But we're working on the ones where we can support them and they can do those things. And for these boys, we need to be supporting them in order for their behavior to be safe and appropriate. So we are going to be carrying around these strips, and instead of saying, don't jump on the couch, don't throw that toy, don't rip up that book, we're going to be saying, oh, keep people safe, oh, keep myself safe, oh, keep things safe. And we're going to be saying this so many times that it is going to be ingrained in their little brains so that it becomes a more natural thing. At the same time, we are being kind. We are being persistent in a way that probably their families are not able to be at this time. Their behavior is so constant that I think it would be impossible for a normal adult to be on top of it all the time. And that's probably why their behavior has been worse, because they need somebody who can be on top of it all the time in order to retrain these challenges. We will be doing that in the time that we have with them. Our job is going to be persistent, reinforcing behaviors we want to see. And, of course, if you can't keep yourself safe while using a tape dispenser, you don't get to use a tape dispenser. We've already been reinforcing boundaries with them. So we have little flashing lights at music time. If they can't stop touching their spinner to the wall, which is not keeping the spinner safe and not keeping the wall safe, they don't get to use a spinner. And those kind of very simple organic boundaries need to happen with these children. And so what we say is, oh, keep our stuff safe, spinner is finished, and we put it away. It's not a big punishment. It's not a big issue. We just put it away. You have lost opportunity to have this thing in your hand while we're singing songs today. It's very tiring, I have to tell you. And if you have dealt with challenging behavior like this, then you know that it's very challenging. And it is constant. And if you are a family member, I'm sorry, it's constant for you too. And even more constant because you don't get to give them back at the end of the hour, whereas we do. And for those of you who may be volunteers or teachers, this is one place to start with class rules. And they're not just class rules that we recite before circle time. These are class rules we repeat constantly throughout the entire time we have with the student. And in fact, I also printed some really small ones because we are going to be doing some art activities using these also. I'm going to give the kids, I'm thinking of various different activities. Maybe for a month, we're going to do one every week. The first activity, I think I'm going to make little go signs. So a green circle perhaps. And each child will make 3 different green circles and they will be on sticks so you can hold them up like a sign. And one will say, keep myself safe. The next will say, keep people safe. And the next one will say, keep stuff safe. And then we're going to play a game. I'm going to tell them a scenario such as Ben kicks the wall because he's angry. And they're going to tell me which rule that Ben forgot. Ben forgot to keep himself safe. Ben forgot to keep our stuff safe. Ben forgot to keep things safe. He hurt the wall. And then we're going to talk about why they chose that thing. We need to be talking about these things regularly and in lots of different ways from lots of different angles. Maybe the next week I will have them make columns and I will print pictures of people doing different bad things and they will put it in the column of the thing that the person forgot. Did the person forget to keep herself safe? Did the person forget to keep other people safe? What is this that is happening that these rules tell us should not be happening. Sometimes children are confused about what is allowed and what is not allowed. And our very first job with children is to keep everyone safe. We need to keep ourselves as the adults safe. We need to keep the children safe as well. And we need to keep our equipment safe. If you have a team, if you have volunteers or staff or a family, and you are working on dealing with challenging behavior, this strategy is the very first one that I would implement. I would implement a rules system. We are not rewarding children based on these rules. We are not punishing children based on these rules. We are simply explaining to them what is and is not allowed in our classroom, in our home, in our program. It is not allowed to hurt people because we keep people safe. It is not allowed to rip books because we keep things safe. This is a class value that we hold, and we are not going to allow these rules to be broken. And usually consequences need to be simply removing the thing that is getting hurt, or moving the child away from another child who is in the danger zone. We don't do punishment. We do discipline. Discipline is training. Discipline is helping children learn how to regulate their own behavior. And we will be talking about that in upcoming videos. So don't hesitate to subscribe, press the little button, and come back. Next time, we will have a little discussion about another issue related to child behavior, because this is on my mind lately with the new students that I am seeing. Also, totally separate note, I have a new separate YouTube channel that is not related to child development at all. If you watched that video right there, you know that I had to take a detour from traditional work as a speech-language pathologist, which is the reason why I have this YouTube channel and why I have developed a curriculum, because I had the capacity to do that, to do both in small increments instead of working a million hours all the time and never having any margin. But the reason for that was because I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I was very, very sick for many years and couch-bound, not able to do really much of anything. And I have gotten better. Not fully better. I still require more rest than a traditional person would, a typical person. But I am able to do most of the things that I want to do. My lights are flickering. I'm able to do most of the things I want to do as long as I pace myself appropriately, and I don't have symptoms. And even without medication, I have reached deep remission as shown in colonoscopy and biopsies. So clearly something has been going right. And I think the main thing that has been going right is that I have been eating differently. And because I know a lot of people have digestive problems, a lot of people have Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis or irritable bowel syndrome even, I decided to cook with you. And I have a channel where I cook things that help keep me in remission. Not perfectly healthy all the time. I do eat sugar, but I do eat pretty healthy most of the time, and these are foods that work for me, and it might help your guts as well. So if you know anyone who has Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, who has irritable guts in general, who just doesn't feel well in the digestive department, and who's looking for some suggestions about maybe foods that might work better, check out that channel. I will put a link to it below, and right there, it's called Greening Up, and you can see more about my lifestyle there. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for learning with me. Thank you for letting me challenge myself to continue growing as I produce videos, and I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.